When I was a very young child, I don't remember how old, my friends and I discovered a rabbit warren in the garden of my aunt and uncle who lived right around the corner. And in what I would call a scene out of Lord of the Flies, each of these kids were saying how they were going to destroy these rabbits. Somebody said poison, somebody said drown them. One of the kids, who's the oldest of them in her young teens, said, I know, I will capture them and use them in a science project, which I wasn't really sure what that was, but I knew it was not going to be good. I went running home crying to my mother. I explained what happened. She reported it to my father, and when he found out, he came home and just stormed around the neighborhood, went to the houses of all the kids who were threatening harm and talking to their parents, talking to his sister and brother-in-law, what's wrong with you people? But then what really made it different, he called the school and said, how could you have children who are thinking of using science projects involving death to little bunny rabbits? So I was amazed and actually felt sort of proud and vindicated in standing up for the rights of these little animals. So my father made such a fuss in the neighborhood, in the school, that one day there was a box, like a shipping box, sitting on our back porch. Nobody had an idea what that was about. We lifted the top, and inside were all the little bunny rabbits. I was amazed. We took the box, covered, and brought it to a local zoo that had a bunny coop. I hope they lived happily ever after. So that was part one of it, which I would say that's compassion, that's looking at advocacy. And then, sadly for me and some other members of my family, my father, over time, he turned into an oppressor himself. He was a bull. Just go for it. Just wipe out every possible problem in the service of what it was that he wanted. It got me feeling rageful and vengeful and wanting to, in some way, really get back at that man, including thoughts of physical injury. Only, as he would remind me, he was bigger than me and bigger than the weights I could lift in the attic space. So where that rage went was, it had nowhere to go, truly. So my story of compassionate counsel, tough advocacy, really calls on my version of an origin story, like a Batman story. He has to leave, gets his training from the guy who later turns into the ogre, but he comes back ready to deal. So sometime in my mid-teens, I realized there was an outlet for me. I came upon a book that had to do with the lawyering process and advocacy. And really from probably age 15, I decided that's the course I wanted to take. Not quite putting it together with my dad and the bunny rabbits, but more just, it's kind of like felt very natural to me. This would be the outlet for me in terms of career. And so I went through law school. I spent some time doing legal services for very poor people. I went into private practice in Princeton and just sort of went on my way. But it wasn't until I got into my own firm, which was in the early 1980s, that I could really put into effect the practices that I had seen and thought about in terms of what has come to be, for me and my firm, compassionate counsel and tough advocacy. So what we do is we step in with passion and force as needed, using law enforcement where that's necessary, getting restraining orders where it's necessary in the family law type of case, defending people whose parental rights are being threatened if they haven't done the thing that's being threatened, but also being willing to see children removed from parents and rights terminated if that's the right thing that needs to be done. We don't have oppressors as clients. It's just not something that we're going to do. If we have somebody who's done a bad thing, we expect them to say, that was wrong and I will correct it. Hanan Isaacs, Kingston Law Group, compassionate counsel and tough advocacy.